Hey guys, welcome back to Face with Terrence Weaver. I'm Terrence, and today we have a very exciting segment. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and in the process of evaluating, trying to find different people that you guys can relate to, I found this amazing person named Zoe. So I met Zoe one day walking to the train, and me and Zoe had this long conversation, and he gave me a part of his background. As I was talking to Zoe, I realized that this is Chicago's story. This is your story. This is our story. This is our culture. And some of the things that he went through was mind blowing. And I figured that I needed to bring it to you personally. Some of the characters that I have on the show, I get an opportunity to display themselves as they want to, depending, or they can actually just be behind the camera, or I can tell the story for them. So this particular person, Zoe, wanted to be off the camera. So me and Clary decided that we were going to go ahead and have the segment. But his story is phenomenal, mind blowing, and it stretches you as a person and helps you understand life and the choices that we have and the value of life, the worth of a person's life. Along with that, what we hold a person to. And it's up to us to decide if a person's value of their life is exceedingly high and above what we think it is or lower. But ultimately, it's the person whose life is at hand or in their hands. They can just decide. But this person is an amazing person. I wanted to bring it to you and let you decide. So today on the set, we have Clary with me, and we also have Zoe, who is going to be off screen, but he's going to be talking to us, so you guys will be able to hear him. So guys, welcome to the show. Thank you. So Clary, we have Zoe. We sat down and we had a long conversation beforehand, and we were talking about some of the things that made Zoe Zoe. So we're going to direct it over to Zoe and ask Zoe, hey, what is special about you?
Well, first of all, my name is Zoe. I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Come from a loving mother and father. Had three other siblings, three sisters. A lot of my childhood I can't remember. I really can't remember when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years of age. I remember when I was probably 11 or 12, 13. I remember those moments. But I believe that in my life, something happened in my life, probably with my mother or maybe other relatives that I really can't recall. But as far as myself, I know that I was in grammar school, doing well in school. I remember my mother having pictures of us, as far as me being in classes and things of that nature, taking classroom pictures with other students. But things started to change for me when I got involved in the game when I was like 12 years of age. And I ended up getting a 6-point star on the right side of my arm. And this was, a little bit time later that I recall my mother asked me what I was getting myself into because she never saw it. And I told her it was nothing, you know.
So what is it?
It was a 6-point star, and the gang was the Black Gangster Disciples.
Okay.
So that's the gang I was a part of at a young age, influenced by another guy, to, join the gang, think it was cool, hip, or whatever. But I ended up in a foster home. I ended up in numerous foster homes.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think would have been just best for you and your sister when you were young? To stay or to
Well, yeah. I believe the best thing for me and my sister would have been for us to be together and just stay with our mom. My mom, she she wasn't a bad parent. She wasn't a bad parent. I mean, I love my mother, and I wouldn't I wouldn't say anything bad about my mother other than she was an alcoholic. That's it. That's it. But my mom tried to take care of my sister and myself. We went to school. There were days where if I couldn't attend school, she would write a note. My stepdad was Felix Davis. I'll never forget that man. We was on 43rd and Michigan. That's where we stayed, on 43rd and Michigan. We went to school right over there on 43rd and State Street. We had a big family.
How did your father pass?
Oh wow, I think my mom may have told me, but I believe I forgot. I think I forgot how my biological father passed away. My mom, she did her best to take care of us. And Felix, he was my stepdad. He went to work every day. He worked it for Burns Security. He used to go out the bank. He used to have a weapon on him. He'd just come home and, we'd come home from school and do our homework. And that was just what it was. She'd feed us. At that time, I don't know what my mom was into when she was out on the street. But she wasn't like out on the street every day. She did have friends that she, hung out with, and the majority of the time, me and we'll probably be over at my grandmother's house. And she didn't stay too far. She stayed like just right across the street. It wasn't too far away, and my grandmother would watch us from time to time. And we'll just come back home and lay down, go to sleep, watch TV, you know. But as time went on, something happened. I remember one time when her and Felix had gotten to an argument and she busted his nose and his nose just started bleeding profusely. It was just blood coming out his nose. And I asked my mom, what's going on? What's going on? I never seen him hit my mom, but she hit him and, his nose was bleeding.
So over the years, you mainly saw the physical altercations that happened was your mom hitting him. He never hit your mom?
No, Felix never touched my mom. He never touched my mom. He was a gentle guy. He wasn't into no type of physical abuse of my mother. He'd go to work, come home, probably have him a little beer or something, and get ready for the next day. And at that time, I recall my sister, my next to the oldest sister, not my oldest sister, my next to the oldest sister. And she would come over, but I'm trying to think, I think she stayed with us. Because you know something, I remember in one of the other apartments when we was on Indiana, because we stayed on 41st in Indiana, then we stayed on 43rd in Michigan. But on 41st in Indiana, I remember waking up and we had bunk beds. How many
of you guys was it?
It was just probably 5 of us.
Okay.
My oldest sister, she wasn't living with us. She had her own family, her own children. She was out there in the hundreds. And I remember I used to wake up to try to go use the bathroom, but I wouldn't go use the bathroom because as I looked down the hall, I would look out at this image that was at the back of the kitchen, and I was kind of scared of the image that I would see because it was this light pole. It was a pole, a utility pole, one of the big brown utility poles. And I'll go back in the room and I end up wetting the bed. And my mom used to tell me, stop wetting the bed. And I used to piss in the bed. I used to do that. I did that when I was young. But I was scared of something. I don't know what I was scared of, but I was scared of something. But this is when my sister was molesting me.
Is this the oldest sister?
No, this is my next to the oldest sister. She's still around right now to this day. I still love her. I don't have no ill will toward her, but she did it, and I never questioned her about it to this day. I never questioned her about it. Let it be what it was, and that's the end of it. I'm pretty sure she remember, you know, but I still love her.
How old were you around that time?
Oh man. And she did that, I had to be somewhere between 10 or 11. And she had me performing oral sex on her, you know.
How did you come to the decision to kind of let it be and still love her? Like,
really, I mean, I don't know what we was gonna gain out of it. I mean, I just kind of just let it go. Just let it go. I didn't want to, I didn't want no arguments or her try to deny it and I try to say, no, you did do it. And then she said, I didn't do that to you. Or whatever. I didn't want to go through that. I know she did it. I told other people. I even ended up telling her daughter that I ended up meeting once I ended up getting out of prison. I ended up telling her daughter, and she's like, well, my mom did that. I was like, yeah.
So do you think when she was younger, somebody was doing things to her?
I'm pretty sure. See, when I think about certain things, when I was in there, see, remind you, I went in when I was, 19. And as time went on, and I sat back and I was just thinking about things, because there was an incident where I came in one day, and I don't know what the argument was about with her and my mom. She threw a knife at my mom. She took a knife and she threw it, but she missed my mother and she ran out the door, But she ended up coming back, but I don't know what that was about. I don't know what it was about.
So prison gave you enough time to start thinking back over some of the things that happened.
And some of the things that happened. And I mean, and I just came to the conclusion that some things happened. Some things happened. And before my older sister passed away, she told me that my Uncle Harry, which, was my auntie's husband, he did something to my oldest sister. And she told me before she ended up passing away. She told me about, he was molesting her, doing stuff to her, And I would have never thought that. I would have never thought that. And all the times I was over at their house and how he would want to keep me away from my cousin, how he would tell my cousin, oh, stay away from him because he a bad influence, this and that, you know what I'm saying? But I really, started thinking about, I think he really didn't want me over there because really, I don't know if he knew I knew, but I didn't at that time because she didn't even say nothing. Because had I known at that time, during the time that I was in my addiction, when I ended up coming back from Minneapolis, I probably would have killed him. What I came to believe is that I believe a lot of us were molested. I believe that. And certain family members don't talk about a lot of stuff, and they kept it to themselves. They kept it secretive and really don't talk about it. And now a lot of my family have passed. A lot of stuff was going on back then,
So when did your older sister pass? After you got out of prison?
Yeah. Because me and my sister, right now, me and my wife we was taking care of her. Because, we was taking care because when I got out, she was staying with her daughter. And they wasn't actually taking care of her like she should have been taken care of. She would sit around, in her piss. I'll come over, I speak to her, and, she'll speak to me, and I look, because man, she ended up having a stroke the year that I was scheduled to get out. She had a stroke, so she wasn't walking on her own no more. That was over with. So she had a walker, and I'll come over, and I see her, and she'll say, hey Keith, I speak to her. I say, hey baby, and I look at her. She'd be sitting on a mattress bed, and I come past, and she's smelling like pee. And I ask my nieces, and I'm like, what's going on right here? Y'all not, taking care of your grandmother? Or, you're not taking care of your mother? I ask my other niece, you're not taking care of your mother? Or I ask my nephew, what's wrong with, what's wrong? Y'all need to straighten this out. And she made some some indications to me that she wanted me to get her and take her. Because what they was basically doing, they were just taking her social security check. That's what it was. They was taking her social security check. She wasn't really seeing no money. She wasn't really seeing no money because she really had no use for it. Her son, he'll go do whatever with the money, and I'll be the one that come and pick them up so they can go cash the check. But I didn't have no involvement in taking none of the money. I just made sure, she get it cash and I dropped them back off.
So would you say that you had a happy childhood, Zoe, or how would you describe your family as a group when you're growing up? Because you said there's five of you guys, along with your mom and your stepdad.
I would say back then, I would say I was somewhat content. I wouldn't say that I was unhappy. There was times where I was in school where I was being bullied and stuff like that, but that little stuff, that wasn't too much. I wasn't too much worried about that stuff.
But in the household,
But in
completely
the household,
fine.
I was fine. I was good. I was good in the household. My mother didn't abuse me. My mother didn't beat me. We ate. I've always been a small man. I've always had a small frame. Always had a small frame. I still got a small frame right now to this day. I've always been small. Just like my mom. My mom was a small frame woman, you know. And my father, I guess he was probably just a little bit bigger than me, but I've always been a small guy. But I was, I, I would have to say that I was pretty much happy. I was pretty much happy. I wasn't really like sad and depressed. I wanted to kill myself. No, it wasn't none of that. You know, I remember times when I was over at my grandmother's house, I would walk the fence. And at that time, I had asthma real bad, but I ended up growing out of it. As I got a little older, I ended up growing out of it. And, you know, my grandmother would tell me, get off that fence, don't be walking on that fence. But I'd get off, and then when she turned around, I'd get right back up there again, right back around the fence, just walk the fence. It was just something to do inside the courtway, but my mom did her best, She was the kind of woman that believed in the holidays and stuff like that. She brought me toys and stuff like that. But other than that, I would have to say that it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
And so then you're what, 11, 12, 13?
Well, at that time, somewhere between had to be at least 12 or 13. Yeah, 12 or 13. And then we end up moving. This is when my mom ended up putting the stuff in storage. As time went on, my mom put the stuff in storage, and she ended up moving to another place. And I was with her at that time. And we never got that stuff back out. We never got that stuff. She never got that stuff. She lost the pictures, the school pictures. I would never forget that. We took pictures. I remember that clear as day. We would take pictures and they'll take the little black little thing with the name of the class and the room number and the teacher, and it'd be right there in the middle. And everybody sit there, and it was rows. I never forget it. And the teacher would be there on the side. We took the pictures. All that stuff was gone, man. All that stuff was gone. It was pictures of me when I was little, but
It's in a store. It was in a storage.
my mom put that stuff away in the storage, and she never regained it. She lost it. Her furniture, all that stuff she lost. But she had me with her. She didn't have Lena with her. I forgot where Lena went. I think was with one of the relatives. But this is when she ended up, and we ended up moving again. We ended up moving again. This is, now we got a little bit older. Now I'm probably about 14, 15. And we moved on 61st. Well, 60th and Parade, right there by the L. Right off the alley from the L. And this is when we was going to Bessie Ross. And this is when the people, it's when the people came. DCFS came. And I was told that my sister was the one that called them and alerted them. You know, but
Your older sister?
no, this was my older sister that did that. This is my older sister that did.
DCFS to come?
Yeah, DCFS to come.
Why do you think she did?
Well, maybe because she met Pete. She met Pete.
Is a new boyfriend? It isn't the guy that you like, right?
Right. This was the guy that I didn't like. This was the abusive guy. You know, that my mom ended up meeting. You know, letting him stay there. You know, yeah, she met him, and I mean, it wasn't good. It wasn't good for her.
So he would beat her? Like, what can you tell us about a scenario that you may have witnessed?
They would get into fights. You know, they'll get into fights out there on the street, and she'll come home, you know, probably with a knot on her head or something, you know, or she had a black eye. And I'd be like, Mama, you know, where you at? Where you at? You know, she'd tell me, oh, he up there. You know, I'd go out and look for him, or, you know, but didn't find him. Then when he did come, I really didn't do nothing. I just looked, you know, or questioning, why you do that to my mom and this and that? You know, and she'll protect him after, you know, even he didn't beat up. Because that's just the way, you know, now I see that's the way stuff work, man. You know, but that's how that went. At the age of 15, I was in a foster home. The very first foster home I went to was out in Chicago Heights. And I didn't, you know, I didn't really get along with the people. I wasn't really trying to get along.
Can I ask, can you go back a little bit and just, you know, what happened? How did you go from living at home to being in a foster care?
Well, what happened was that I was in school that day. Me and my sister, we were in school, and the teacher said someone wanted to speak with me and my sister, so we stepped out into the hallway, and it was this guy standing there, and I remember the woman lifting up my shirt to look at my wrist. I guess she was trying to say, well, look how small he is. You know, I wasn't you know, undernourished or anything like that. My mother, you know, she did her best to take care of me. You know, but we ended up leaving that day. We ended up leaving that day. They took us out the class. They took us to a woman's shelter. They took me to a male shelter on the west side, back of Brady Green. I was just in this shelter with all these other guys. And we would just sit there and watch TV, and they'd have a staff member there. And then when it was time to eat, everybody go downstairs and eat. And then, you know, from that, it was just a holding place. Come to find out, it was just a holding place. And then they sent me out to Elgin, Illinois, Bartlett, to a place called Herrick. I'd never forget it. Never forget it. Herrick House. And I loved the place. It was a co-ed place. I loved it, man. They had the boys on one side and the girls on the other side. And when we used to come in and eat, we had to say grace. Because the staff members made sure we had to say blessings before we eat. And the boys would eat on this side and the girls would eat on that side. You know, and I find a way to get over to one of their rooms and slip up in the dorm. You know what? That place is something else, man. It was co-ed, but they had a little recreation place where we can all, you know, get together and mingle. But at some point, you know, it'll end and we all go to our little dorms and they'll go to their dorm. And then during that little time I was there, I wasn't there no more than probably what? I wasn't there no more than probably 3 or 4 months. That's when they found me at foster home. But before I got into the foster home, That's when I found out my mother had stabbed Pete. And I got the call and said, man, your mom just killed Pete. I was like, what? You know? He was like, yeah. And I just cried, you know. And, you know, some time went by. I ended up going to this foster home.
You know where he stabbed him? Where she stabbed him?
I think she stabbed him in his abdomen. She stabbed him in his abdomen. He was trying to take her money, and she stabbed him, man. And she stabbed him and killed him. Sure did. Yeah, I told her that I was going to do it one day, but she didn't want me to do it.
Were you still in school?
No. I was in school. Well, they took me out of school, but you know something? They had a little school that was attached to the
holding set?
To the place that I was in, the group home. Yeah, they had a little school that was attached to the group home.
Internal school.
It was a little school, yeah. It was a little school, yeah.
So that was the last day that you were in that school that you
took you out of? Yeah, the school I was in, Bessie Ross. Yeah, and that school is closed down right now.
It's been pretty disruptive for a 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah, it was, but at that time, yeah, I just went with the flow. I just went with the flow. You know, it happened. You know, that's what happened.
And then when you got into foster care, you went to different schools, or?
No. Well, when I got in foster care, at that time, I'm ready for high school. No, I'm ready for high school. But I only took a few classes. I was in the bathroom the majority of the time, in the bathroom or in the hallway, running around in the hallway. I was in some of the classes. I wasn't in all of the classes. But I made sure I went to study hall because there wasn't nothing to do in study hall. I wasn't in there studying. I was just sitting there kicking it.
So what were y'all doing in the bathroom? Just playing cards?
Just shooting dice. Shooting dice. You know, smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. You know, then somebody alert the cop. I remember this one particular day that I wanted to go see my mom, and I asked my foster mother, could I go see him, and she had a son to take me to the Cook County Jail. And I went to go see my mom, and I saw her behind that partition glass. And you know, I just cried. And my mom was, you know, she was being a little bit facetious, trying to keep me happy. And you know, she made a comment and said, well, oh, you know, son, ain't no public ain't gonna get me out of this. You know, but I just sat there and I just cried and just looked at her. I can't, you know, too much remember a lot of things we said. But I was glad that I made that decision to go see her, because a few days later, she had a brain aneurysm. And my auntie took me out there to go see my mom. She was out in Tinley Park at that time. And I saw my mama in the condition that she was in. They cut all her hair off, and then she had an incision in her skull. Her nails wasn't cut. She was a little bit disheveled. It really wasn't too, you know, she wasn't really kept the way I, you know, would prefer to be at that time. So I told my auntie that I'd never come back. I vowed never to go back to see my mom like that ever again. And I didn't go back. I couldn't take it. I didn't go back. So, time went on, you know, and my mom finally passed. And I was in a stolen car. I'll never forget it. I was in a Buick LeSabre, a white Buick photo LeSabre. I pulled up in front of the funeral home. Me and my girlfriend, and I went in there and saw my mom. And I just sat in the chair. It was the wait where you can just view the body. It wasn't actual, you know, funeral, you know. But I saw her, and I just sat in the chair. And I stayed a few minutes. I didn't stay long, and I got out of there. You know, then I ended up going back to my foster home because the authorities was looking for me. Because I, you know, kept running away from foster homes. You know, but I was in this one. This was the last one. with Miss Hutchinson. And she had 2 sons. And I was a bad influence on them, you know. And we started doing things we weren't supposed to do, getting in trouble, you know. The very first home I went to, I can't remember this woman's name because I didn't stay there long. And I didn't like the woman, you know, and I didn't like the people that stayed there. So, you know, I would leave at, you know, from time to time and come back. But this one day I just decided to get my clothes. I threw my clothes out the window. Threw them out the window. I went downstairs. Hey, I'll be back. You know, she said, I told her I was going to the store. And the store was a little bit far away because I'm out in Chicago Heights. And the store was like a 7-Eleven or a White Hen Pantry. That's what they had back then, White Hen Pantries. I went to the White Hen Pantry, you know. I went around there and got my clothes and just started walking to my girl place. And then they ended up contacting my caseworker, Douglas Powell. That was my caseworker at the time. And he ended up finally getting a hold of me. And he placed me in another place. He placed me with Miss Hutchinson. And this when they ended up getting my sister. And they placed us there together. Me and my sister was there together.
Were you happy about that?
Yeah, I was happy me and my sister was together. But my sister wasn't nice either. My sister wasn't nice either. So she did some stuff, you know, to Miss Hutchinson. You know, she was disrespectful. You know, I was disrespectful.
She wasn't nice to the foster.
Yeah, to the foster. Yeah, because she was there by herself. Her husband been passed, so she was just taking care of her adopted children, which were Ronald and Clint. She was taking care of them. And I was a bad influence on them. I was doing stuff, you know, I wasn't supposed to be, you know, doing. And at some point, they end up getting me out that home, and they end up putting me with Miss Gibbs. Now this the third one. Now I'm in the first 2 didn't stay long. Now I'm with Miss Gibbs and Miss Gibbs and Mr. Gibbs, Pierre and Sandra. I'm staying with them. And they had a dog named Yukon. I love that dog. He was a German Shepherd. He was a nice dog. And I was going to school with them. I was going to school, but like I said, I was still in the hallways. I wasn't in the classes like I should be in the classes, you know. But they were doing drugs, you know, at the time. Sandra was doing drugs. Pierre was doing drugs. She even introduced me to PCP. I'll never forget it, boy. She introduced me to PCP.
Your foster.
Oh yeah, my foster mother. I ain't lying on her, my foster mother. Yeah, because she was smoking Sherm. They called it Sherm back then. It was a Moore cigarette. I never forget the Moore cigarette. The Moore cigarette is a brownish colored cigarette. Right now to this day, it come in green or red pack. I never forget it. Long cigarette. You cut it and they dip it in that embalming fluid. And I remember we went over to her grandmother's house one day. And, but not her grandmother, her husband's grandmother, Miss Gibbs. We was over there one day. We was in a courtway. And she had one of her friends there. And I was standing there, we was all standing outside. And we was just smoking on the Sherm. And her friend pulled her panties down and just started pissing. And I was like, you know, it just took me by surprise. I was like, man, what? And she was like, girl, don't be doing that around my son. You know, that's what Sandra told her girlfriend. But anyway, I was like, Sandra, this stuff, what is this? Stuff got me out of my mind. Boy, everything was moving slow. You know, she had to calm me down and come to find out what calms it down is milk. So she gave me some milk and that brought the high down. And I, you know, came back to myself. You gotta drink some milk. She gave me some milk and I came down. But Sandra was a pro, boy. She smoked that stuff. Woo! Sandra smoked that stuff like it wasn't no tomorrow, man. And I come to find out when I was in prison, she ended up passing away.
So, question for you: I know you said your sister violated you when you were younger?
Yeah.
Going from your sister throughout all of these homes and facilities, were you ever messed with at any point in time or had sexual relations with any of those women or?
No. No. I never, no,
Okay.
never.
And the other question is, do you think that your mom may have gone through some of this stuff when she was younger? Like somebody may have messed with her to make it to where she was drinking and overlooked some of the things that was happening to you and your sister and all of them growing up?
You know what, Jay, it's possible.